Okay, we got the entire CT contingent tonight.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, John, Craig, Tim.
How we doing, everyone?
Good. How are you, John? Thanks for joining
I'm
us.
good.
Yeah,
No problem.
Angie, thank you for waiting. We are live. You're welcome to start the meeting.
Okay, I'd like to bring the meeting to order. Present are Councilman Jim Newell and myself on the committee. And we have Mayor Tonko and Rob Jamison. And I don't know if there are any other council members.
Yeah, there's Angie and Nancy, Jan, and Rocky.
And Angie and Nancy and Rob Jamison. So we have one item of conversation tonight. Is that correct, Rob?
That's correct.
And so since you are the most knowledgeable about this, would you like to explain the project?
Sure. I'll give a brief overview of the history and the overview of what we're talking about, and then I'll turn it over to Craig Corse and John Lilash from CT to go over the technical aspects of what we're proposing.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So sometime last year, the village was approached by residents along the alleyway between Maple and Center Street. Amy Burnett reached out to us and had discussed the condition of the pavement of the alley and their desire to see the improvements made to the alleyway. The alley is currently in poor condition with many patches in it. We're going to be patching it again here in the spring, as well as some standing water issues along the alley. With this discussion, she also mentioned her desire to possibly contribute to the project and make a donation to improve the quality of what would be offered. And there's discussion over the interest in installing a brick type surface into the alleyway. So throughout the last several months, probably 6 months or more, the village worked with the Burnetts and in developing a plan to make improvements to the alley. And 6 goals emerged from that planning process. First being the replacement of the deteriorated asphalt surface with a brick surface edged with a flush concrete curb. Lowering of the Maple Street apron area and tapering down the sidewalk to allow for easier motorist ingress and egress from the alleyway. Right now there's quite a steep angle and a lot of cars strike the pavement as they come in and out.
Which also gives us problems, Rob, with the snow plowing of the alley.
Right, that's also difficulty getting our snow removal equipment in and out of there too. There's also often an area that gets missed due to the severe angle difference at that end of the alley. The third component, which we'll get into further in detail, is the addition of a stormwater management system, very unique system to help prevent the standing water and runoff onto adjacent properties, but also not cause a surcharge of storm water into our storm sewers along Maple Street. We'll get into that detail in a bit. Our fourth goal is to align the alley to be within the right-of-way boundaries. Currently on the south side of the alley, close to Maple Street, the alley has over time kind of morphed its way over the right-of-way line, is actually trespassing on one of the properties. So with this realignment, we're going to pull it back in within the village right away and correct that problem. The fifth project goal is to match the new brick surface with any of the existing driveway approaches, so there'd be a seamless transition between the pavement and the actual driveways that connect the alley. And then finally, we would restore any of the landscaping, do any replanting that would be needed due to removal of any big trees or brush, which there would have to be a little bit of to execute the project. We worked with Craig Corse and John Lilash from CT Consultants to incorporate all the desires of the Burnetts and the village into a plan that we could present to the neighboring property owners. We had a public meeting out at the site, our project meeting out at the site. We met with quite a few neighbors that came out, saw our project plans. We walked the alley and we received their input, and we tweaked some of the designs after we met with them. So we're coming before the committee tonight to present the plan, present the cost estimates. The project is estimated to cost $150,000. And we've received a commitment from the Burnetts to provide a donation for 50% or $75,000 towards this project. I've had a few people reach out to me and ask, about the brick surface and what's the village's policy on things like that. And this kind of follows the same lines of how we address North Street and Falls Road, where the village normally would provide just an asphalt resurfacing, maybe add some stormwater measures as we see fit. But any upgrade of the surface to brick would have to be covered through an assessment or a donation type process. So when we ran the numbers and we looked at the plan, the generous donation by the Burnett's would factor into the additional cost for the brick surface and preparation for that. So we feel it's a fair plan moving forward. I sent out all that information to all the committee members, providing an overview of the plan, all the details that we'll get into further here. So if anybody has any questions so far, I can take them now, and if not, we'll move right into Craig and John talking about the technical aspects. Everybody good to move on?
I'm very comfortable with the plan. My only concern was, how do we handle the other alleyways if they come forward and want to do the same thing? Sure.
We have had one or two residents have reached out with that question, and we gave them the answer that I just spoke about, where we would look at the asphalt paving, repaving as the standard. If they wish the same brick surface upgrade, that we would look at the what that additional cost would be, and get their input on whether an assessment would be desired by the neighbors that would that all front the alley, or whether a donation would be possible to cover that additional cost. But our standard construction for an alleyway is asphalt resurfacing and stormwater improvements as needed.
And this would be an accessible project?
What did you say?
And distribute.
You cut out. I'm sorry, your connection cut out for a second.
I'm sorry, you are able to assess all of the residents on the alleyway?
We would assess if we got feedback from the residents that their agreement to the assessment,
okay.
We would do that. In this case, for this project before us tonight, there's no assessment because the donation amount is covering the amount that we would assess.
Okay, thank you. Jim, do you have any questions?
I don't. I like the whole idea. I think it's a wonderful way to clean up an alley, and I'm very appreciative of the donation of the residents that want to see it get done.
Thank you, Jim.
I think it's great.
Go ahead, Rob.
Nancy, I believe, raised her hand.
Yeah. So are there any plans to fix the other alleys?
That would be forthcoming in additional years. So next year we would look at making additional improvements because the pavement quality is poor in that in the Himes Way alley as well.
Nancy, I think also to the heart of your question, this is being done to improve the alley, number one, but number two is also to handle stormwater in a non-traditional method. As you know, we don't have storm sewers on a lot of these streets. Center and Walnut are two in particular, and I don't know about the other streets off the top of my head. But one of the things is Ohio State is going to put monitors in this and monitor this project. So we'll develop the hard data to determine if this is a viable means of handling stormwater. If it is, it's a far cheaper means of taking care of the stormwater problems than putting in bigger new pipes, which cost essentially the same thing as a sanitary line, which would be around $1 million a mile. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, but we're going to move forward next year and have some more of the answers.
Well, this may help in other areas of the village as well, not just the historical.
Correct, Jan, and that's why we were so pleased to get Ohio's teamed up with Ohio State and at no cost to the village, getting that how well the system performs monitored, so that we have hard data as opposed to we think this and we think that.
It's very interesting, actually. I'm excited to see how it works.
So are we all. It'll
We
be
have some
beautiful.
people from CT. Do they want to add to this discussion?
Nevertheless,
Never mind. Go ahead, Nancy.
there are very significant stormwater drainage issues on the other parts of the alley, and the aprons are almost non-existent, and there's some serious holes there. So again, I ask, are there any plans to take care of some of these things?
Yeah, that would be
in
on
the other alley?
next year's agenda, Nancy, not on this year's. As you saw the capital budget and the road program for this year, we would come back and if this is performing as we expect it would, we would add that for next year.
Nancy, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Hey, Rob?
Yes.
Let's talk for a minute on this.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're seeing the plan right now that Rob pulled up. It's been a very challenging project because as we're talking about storm sewers, Maple Street has a small diameter stormwater. That's about it. So with the permeable pavers, the water will go down into gravel underneath, and we're going to have another line for that to drain out. The whole thing is releasing slowly with the water, and we're using a product called Permavoid that'll be under part of the alley, which is the one we're really want to monitor. It's, if you could picture a honeycomb under here that will catch the water that goes through the permeable pavers and release it slowly into a, there it is, that detail. It'll tie into a perforated, let's see, no, that'll be a sealed one on that. And head to a basin we're putting along Maple Street. So that's where our monitoring equipment will be. And if things go as we've been told, it releases the water slowly. And that's the whole thing where you can, if you have, I'll say undersized storm line, normally you might have a 12-inch line. And I think, Rob, maybe it's a 6-inch line we're tying into or 8-inch, I'm not sure.
6 or 8, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, so we have to control the flow into that. And that's the whole trick. And if, and that's why we're monitoring it. We want to see how long the water is held in the permavoid, I'll call it the honeycomb, and release slowly. And some of it will even go into the subgrade also. And the subgrade in this case is gravel. Let's see. I don't want to add more on that, but this is a cutting edge sort of thing. And as Mayor said, it means we don't have to go around and start digging out storm lines and tripling the size of them. We're trying to avoid that on this. Hey, John Lewis, you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, one aspect with these permavoids is the structural properties of them for being below the pavement are similar to even better than what you have with a stone gravel base. And the one aspect is with these is they have what's called 90% voids in the spacing. So typical stone base only has about 40% voids. So this product helps double your storage of water that you can hold below ground in this permeable system before it enters into the storm line. So that's one of the other benefits of this, where in a square foot area, you're almost holding double this amount of water you can with a normal gravel type pavement base with these.
That's impressive. That's really cool.
Yeah, like I said, the structural properties to it are comparable to even, they're better than what the stone base would provide.
May I ask a question? Even though I'm just here visiting.
You may ask.
What's the life expectancy on these basins? I mean, how long before they silt up? Do we have any information on that yet?
Well, we're providing for clean out, Rocky, so that they can be
Yeah.
sucked out to a degree. But Craig, do you want to answer that?
I think it's 25 to 30 years these will last. So,
Is that, Craig, that's for a normal permeable payment, right?
let me say that again. Sorry.
That's for a normal permeable pavement? Because these permeable, they're wrapped in a fabric that allows for no infiltration of small particles and whatnot. So those alone should have a long lifespan, as long as the maintenance is kept up with the surface over time that way to help minimize any debris buildup that could eventually get down to that system. But
Rocky, to answer your question, we did Falls Road back around the mid to late 90s. So that's been in for 20 to 25 years. And that brick surface is like new up there on.
Oh yeah, I'm not arguing about that. I'm the water storage. I mean, this is a really, I've actually heard a lot about this, and it's a really interesting kind of development in a way to store and slowly release water. It's just, some of the stuff I've had is or some of my concern is that it does, you get silt washing in from the road base or from the road and around, and if it lasts 25 years. It's a pretty good long time for it to last before you might have
we have some the watershed partners have done permeable pavement and monitored it in other locations like the Willoughby Library, and we were concerned about that. As a matter of fact, some of the first ones we put in, we had advised what do you call those machines you see at like amusement parks that go around sucking up debris on the midway, billy goats. We actually thought of that was necessary, but we found that's not over time. And Craig has used permeable pavers up at his former office, and that was about 20 years ago. That was put in, I think, 15 anyhow, and he has not had any problems.
Quite that, but it's been a while, and that was a test for me. I built the building there at 549 East Washington Street. If you ever want to go see permeable pavers, not bricks, same there. And it's held up really well, basically no maintenance on it. And it can take it. The thing we also found out, when you have permeables, you get some heat from the ground underneath, and it will start minimizing some of the snow plowing you will need, is what I found out with my parking lot. So.
Yeah, Craig, I'm glad you brought that up. With the watershed partners, the two places, well, we did it in several places, in Mayfield, Willoughby Library in particular. What we found is they've almost had to use no salt on that, and we started recommending that for use in the handicap parking spaces. There's one place you don't want ice is in a handicap parking spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, works out pretty good, I think. We've also done permeable pavers for the Cleveland Clinic Avon. We did 250,000 square feet of it, and that is about 8 years old now. They have no problem, but it was the only way to handle the water, because it's flat ground there in Avon, where they used to grow a lot of grapes and so forth, but that has worked too. So we have our experience with permeable pavers, and I just like this idea with the Permavoid. It gives us another angle how to trap and release the water slowly. So.
Are there any other questions? Okay, Rob, do you want to continue then?
Yes. Craig, do you have anything further? We can get into the brick selection, maybe.
You have a picture. Yeah, I'll let you handle that a little bit, if you don't mind.
So we looked into what kind of brick to implement with this project. And the Burnett's were involved in that process on what to propose to the community. We looked at this brick as being something that has a good historical background, that isn't too bright and won't stand out dramatically. but it'll have a nice texture to it and have kind of like a rumble pattern when it's installed. So we brought up many samples and shared those with people in the alley and presented these final couple selections, and this is the one that we'd like to proceed with. We wanted this to be kind of the standard paver style brick for pavement projects in the village, where we would use brick outside of the streets that are already made of brick, and as we have standardized the style of brick for our walking paths.
This brick has a hard burned surface so that it won't fall when salt is used on the bricks. They're protected then. We've checked with the supplier on these, and it's a pressurized process, but we call it a hardened brick. These will have a little nodule on each brick, which those gaps you're seeing will spread out to probably about 3/8 of an inch. And that's where the water will get through and penetrate either into the permavoid or to the sub-base gravel. And that's it. So it's pretty rough, tough brick, let's put it that way. I don't really have anything else to say on it.
Okay. I think Craig and John, if you don't have anything further, I think we've provided a good overview. If there's any additional questions, we'd be happy to answer that.
Do the Barretts, would you like to say anything?
No.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your generosity.
Did you say that?
Do you want the Burnett's to say something? I'm sorry, we're George and Amy Burnett.
I just asked if you would like to, that's all.
Yeah, I think very simply, Amy grew up in this house on Center Street. We're very much committed to the community, having moved back here a few years ago. We think the town has been wonderful in terms of the thoughtfulness with which they prepared this project. We just are actually, feel very pleased that we can, in a sense, act as a catalyst for an improvement to the community. And frankly, I think the town has gone over and above in terms of thinking about how to manage water, how to have a demonstration project that would further enhance the community as we get data back. And we're just pleased to be, we just think it'll be an enhancement to the community. And we like the whole water management aspect of it. And frankly, are just pleased to be a part of it and are more than, happy in a sense to make this donation to kind of be the catalyst to move this along. And we appreciate the opportunity, actually.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Rob, do you want to say anything else? Do we need a motion to take this to council? Mayor?
I believe so, just to recommend to council that to proceed with this project. I do think you need a motion and a vote to do that.
Okay, could I make a motion? Do you want to do it, Jim?
I'm happy to do it. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this. We recommend that council approves this project, this innovative new technology, and see if we can move forward with it as a final project for this year.
Okay, I second that, and I'm sorry that Darren's not here, but I'm sure he would agree with the decision. So with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, and this goes to council tonight.
Will it go to council tonight?
No, we
Rob?
don't have specific legislation for this.
That's what I thought.
This will be one component of the 2021 road program. So
Okay.
when we present the capital budget here shortly, which will be addressed tonight, scheduling meeting for that. Once we move forward with that road program and ask for authorization to go to bids, this will be one component of that project.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Yep.
Christy, is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak?
Thank you for asking. We have a few members in attendance in the audience. If you'd care to comment on this project, please raise your hand in the Zoom platform so I can identify you. Brian or Larry. Thanks for asking, Jan. No one's opted in.
Okay, well then we will close this meeting and thank everyone for coming, and We have a council meeting that starts at 7. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.